Okay, we'll get started. So my name is Nathan. I work for a company called EY. Like I said, I have spoken to some of you before. If you don't know who we are, what we're going to do today is go through our school leaver opportunities at EY. So our apprenticeships, and we might talk a little bit about our paid work experience as well. We do have an apprentice that will be joining us. He's gone to round up some more people to come in, but you can ask any questions. So any questions that you have, please do ask them. Who are we, EY? We are an international company. We have 700 offices worldwide and over 300,000 people work for us worldwide as well. So any country you can think of, we've pretty much got an office there. In the UK, we've got 21 offices and 18,000 people work for us. So as you can tell, we're a very big organization. But what is it we actually do? We are a company that helps business and finance. We are a company that helps organizations and clients be better through the use of business, finance, and technology. And I'll explain what that means in a little bit more detail later on. So at EY, we've got different departments. We call them service lines, but they're departments. So at school, you've got different departments. So you've got the English department, the drama department, languages, maths, etc., etc. We've got different departments, and we've got apprenticeships in all of these different departments. So you've got assurance, consulting, strategy and transactions, and tax. Hands up if you know what any of those words mean on the board. A few of you. And I'm going to assume it's probably tax because most of us know what tax is. So let's look at these departments or service lines in more detail. What do they actually mean? So assurance. So assurance helps businesses and clients make sure that their finances are in order and healthy for employees and investors. They also look at risks businesses have and advise on them. So if you're someone that is interested in financial statements, working with clients, maybe you want to be an accountant, assurance would be for you. Lots of other companies call assurance audit. At EY, for some reason, I don't know why, we call it assurance, and audit sits within assurance. So if you want to be an accountant and you've got those aspirations, assurance would be for you. And in assurance, we've got different teams. So as you can see, we've got audit, we've got insurance, banking and capital markets, energy, government and public sector, and data analytics. So in these teams, these are the kinds of clients you'll be working with. So for example, if you work in a government and public sector team, you'll be working with government and public sector clients. So you might be working with local councils, you might be working with government departments. If you're in energy, your clients would be all around the energy sector. So you might be working with companies that have green initiatives, for example, or sustainability. If you work in insurance, very obviously, you'll be working with clients that are in the insurance industry. That's the way it works at EY. So that's assurance as a start. And then we've got consulting. So consultants do a lot of very different work for our clients, from creating banking apps to advising on their HR structures. Our consultants transform organizations, helping them change for the future. So if you're someone that likes advising people, maybe you're the person in the friendship group that everyone comes to for advice, look into becoming a consultant. So the different teams in consulting are technology consulting. So if you're someone that likes advising people and you like technology consulting's for you. Business remediation, risk is basically, this is going to sound a bit dumb, but risk is basically looking at the risks business have. I know you should never define a word by using a word, but that's what it means basically. We've got intelligent automation, again, a very tech-focused role, technology and data analytics, and anti-money laundering as well. So those are the different teams you can work in within consulting. Next one, tax. So I'm sure you all know what tax is. We all get taxed on different goods and services every day. And as you get older, you will start to pay tax. The tax team work with banks and insurance companies. They help clients understand tax rules better, as well as use technology to improve processes and support companies buying or merging with each other. So again, if you're someone that wants to work in the finance industry, work with different clients, look at tax rules, advise clients on how they can better use their taxes, the tax would be for you. And then the teams within tax are people advisory services, private tax, tax technology and transformation. So tax technology and transformation is more about how companies can use tax to change their business. Global compliance and reporting, business tax service, and international tax and transaction services as well. there's a lot more information about all of these on our website. I know I'm throwing a lot of information at you, but I do have 20 minutes. And the last one, strategy and transactions, which David will talk about a little bit more. We'll talk about in a little bit more detail in a second. So this involves advising organizations on how to grow and stay competitive through buying, selling, or merging parts of their business. It's made up of a number of different areas who work closely together. And in strategy and transactions, we just have one team you can work in for our apprenticeships, which is turnaround and restructuring strategy. So I'm going to hand over to David for a second. David, can you give an overview of what turnaround and restructuring strategy is, please?
Yeah, of course. Turnaround and restructuring strategy is essentially just providing support to distressed businesses. That's kind of our bread and butter. So we'll offer them advice and support on how they can turn their business around in order to give the best outcome for all employees and keep the business going.
Yep. So great overview there. And if you want to ask David a question about his qualification, his day-to-day role, or what it's like to be an apprentice at EY, there will be time for some questions later on. So obviously, when deciding what to do with the rest of your life, it's not just about the work, it's about the culture and it's about the people as well. At EY, we're really proud of building a culture where everyone gets to be who they are. And when you're on one of our apprenticeships, a lot of people worry about they're going to miss out on the university experience. What that means is I'm still not sure, and I went to university. So even if you're on one of our apprenticeships, we do have a number of networks. So networks are like societies or clubs at university. So we've got lots of different ones. The biggest one is actually the Women's Network, and they run lots of different events throughout the year. And then we've got networks that are based on culture. So we've got a Black network, we've got an Asian network, gender. So like I said, the Women's Network is a big one. We've got networks that are aimed at the LGBTQ community, as well as disability networks as well. Within that, though, we do have lots of different socials that are very regular. So there's a party next week. Yep, next week, week after that. And we do have budget for you to throw your own social if you wanted to as well. So don't feel like whatever apprenticeship you want to do, whether it's at EY or someone else, don't feel like you're missing out on a university experience, because, you know, a lot of different companies, especially the bigger ones, have structures in place to replace that university experience. And we do have apprentices that have moved out and live with other apprentices as well. So it's up to you really on kind of making that experience yours, but companies do support that as well. So let's get into our actual programs. So if you are in year 11 currently and going into year 12 next year, we do have the Business Academy. So Business Academy is a 1-week paid work experience in an EY office closest to you. So the closest office here is the one in Manchester. It's in St. Peter's Square, which is about 10 minutes from here. If we live further afield, we do have offices in Leeds, Birmingham, Hull. So we do have quite a few offices across the Northwest. It gives you on-the-job work experience, business skills, and work shadowing. You can support teams in assurance, tax, or turnaround and restructuring strategy. And hopefully you know what those terms mean a little bit more now. And then to apply, you need to be in year 12, studying 3 A-levels or any equivalent. So if you are studying B-Techs, T-levels, C-Techs, it does not matter. You just need to be studying what's equivalent to 3 A-levels. And then our apprenticeships. So most of you are here for apprenticeships. So let's talk about apprenticeships. We do have a wide range of different apprenticeships. So like I said, most of them, all of them are on our website. And you can support doing an apprenticeship in assurance, consulting, tax, and technology. So again, hopefully you know what those terms mean now. And depending on the role and location, you could earn up to $22,100 a year. This may go up slightly next year. Obviously, inflation, cost of living, etc., etc. So that number might be a bit higher next year. And then most EY apprenticeships are 4 years long, finishing with a qualification that's equivalent to a master's degree. So we do actually offer level 7 apprenticeships. So at the end of that apprenticeship, you'll be a fully chartered accountant. And we also have level 6 apprenticeships as well. And you will get a degree in digital and technology solutions. So you're supported throughout your apprenticeship with help from a buddy and a counsellor. So a lot of people think that I don't want to do an apprenticeship because I don't want to be the only 18-year-old and work with a bunch of old people that are 35 plus. I've been told that the average age of someone that works at EY is 27. So that may sound old to you now, but trust me, it's not. And that's because we do hire a lot of graduates and a lot of apprentices. So we're hiring around 2,000 graduates and around 200 apprentices. So you won't be the only apprentice in the office. We do hire apprentices every year. So if you joined us in September of 2023, you get to meet the apprentices that started the year before you, and the year before that, and the year before that, etc., etc. So trust me, you will not be the 18-year-old in a sea of old people. Not that I'm old. I'm only a bit older than you guys, slightly. And a counsellor in this context is not like a mental health counsellor, although we do have access to those sorts of services. We do have access to a GP service and a range of different services as well. But a counsellor in this context is about someone that's there to help you along with your career, give you guidance, tell you where you need to improve on, tell you where you're excelling as well. So, David, can I ask you, and I'm putting you on the spot because I didn't tell you about this, why you decided to do an apprenticeship?
Yeah, thanks for that, Nathan. I chose to do it kind of because of that previous slide. I wanted to earn money while also gaining a qualification that supersedes a degree, really, being a level 7. I also did apprenticeship just because I like the idea of being able to get involved in work earlier and gain experience. Because really, if you're in the business at 18, you're going to have a lot more experience than someone who's coming straight out of university. And then joining at 18, the course is 4 years, so I'll be qualified at 22. If you're joining after university at 21, and then you've got to do your qualifications, you're then going to be qualified at 24. So I just wanted that head start. And yeah, so far so good, to be honest.
And how long have you been working at EY?
I've been working at EY since September 2020, so I'm coming up to halfway through my apprenticeship.
Fantastic. Great. So hands up here, I'm just being nosy now, who's definitely interested in an apprenticeship? Doesn't matter if it's with EY or not. Okay, quite a few people. And then hands up here who's on the fence about university/apprenticeship, doesn't know which option they want to pick. Okay, there's a few of you. I think the best thing to do, and again, this is just general advice, is to just make sure that you use today and you ask questions. You ask questions of every company that you're interested in, and make sure you get as much information as possible, and make sure you're getting the right information as well, because unfortunately there is still a lot of not great information about apprenticeships. But make sure you are asking the right questions. Okay, so let's get into the application process. So for Business Academy, it's an application form, online assessments. One of our online assessments is a numerical reasoning test. However, we're not looking for mathematicians. You can study any subject at A-level and still get onto one of our programs. We are just looking for people that are comfortable working with numbers. So don't feel like you have to be really smart with numbers. We're not looking for mathematicians. And then a telephone interview. And then for our apprenticeships, now this process may be a bit shorter next year, but it's an application form, online assessments, again, numerical reasoning test, the telephone interview, the EY Experience Day. I'll explain what that is in a couple of minutes, and then a final interview as well with a partner. So a partner is like a big manager, equivalent to like a head teacher at school. So let's look at the different stages in more detail. So the application form is basically who you are, your contact details, and why you want to work at EY. A top tip here is don't use a school email address for your application form, whether it's be for EY or for anywhere, because you're going to leave school and it's a nightmare trying to contact candidates that have now abandoned their school email address. So always use a personal email address, and hopefully you have an appropriate one. So the best thing to do is make sure that all your details are correct. You wouldn't believe how many people put their own mobile phone number in wrongly. They miss off a digit, they mix up the 6 and the 7. So make sure that all your details are correct so we can contact you. And then the online assessments, you can practice them online. If you go on our website, there are links to practicing our online assessments, and we will be running regular webinars next year, so you can have more information about our online assessments. Our telephone interview, obviously top tip is make sure it's somewhere quiet and somewhere with good signal and prepared to take the call. Now with the telephone interview and with the final interview, we're not looking to catch you out. We just want to know why you want to work at EY, why you've applied for the role that you've applied for. So do start thinking of reasons. And don't feel like you can't use things in your personal life. So for example, if you have applied for an insurance role and you want to work in audit, and you have a friend that resells trainers on Instagram, for example, and you've been advising them on their profit or doing their profit and loss margins, and advising them on how much profit they're making, that's working in audit. It's just that you just don't have the official job title yet. So don't feel like you can't use examples in your personal life. So again, let's say you have applied for, again, an audit role or a consultant role, and maybe you do hair or eyelashes, for example, and you went from 1 client in your first month to 17 clients in your second month. That's working in finance. So don't feel like you can't use personal experiences in your personal life, in your interview. You definitely can. And people definitely want to hear about them because they're interesting. So your EY Experience Day. So this is an online assessment day. What happens is you'll be invited to a call on Teams, Microsoft Teams, and you'll be with other candidates. They may be applying for apprenticeships, they may be applying for graduate roles. You'll be given a problem that you have to come up with solutions with as a group. So the best thing to do is to make sure that you're heard, to make sure that you're participating, make sure you're a good team player, etc. And then you have to write about your solutions. So again, it's about good spelling and grammar, and write about what you did. So that's it basically. But on that day as well, you'll get to meet some other people from the business, so you can ask questions. And then the final interview, so like I said, that is usually with a partner or a senior manager. So the partner are the ones that earn the big money, like the 6 figures that we're all craving for in life, right? So in that final interview, again, we're not looking to catch you out. We just want to know why you want to work for EY, what you can bring to the role, and how you've got to us, so your journey, for example. So again, do think about personal experiences in your life as well. Right. So again, some top tips. So why EY? Do your research about EY. Like I said, we are an international organization, and there's lots of press about EY. Another top tip is don't necessarily talk about EY in different countries. Stick to the UK, because EY is very big. And I know at the moment there's some negative press outside the UK, but outside the US. But the US did something wrong, not UK EY. So we're all good over here. So do your research, so commercial awareness, I always talk about this, is basically knowledge of the market. So yes, do your research about EY, but know the market as well. So what's going on in the finance industry in general. So location, what location do you want to apply for? Practice your online assessment and research the business areas as well. Okay, so if you haven't spoken to us today, we do have a stand. It's in an awkward location, like right at the front. A lot of you walked in where the balloons are, but if you look to your right, that's where our stand is. So do come and speak to us either at the end of today or at the end of this session or on our stand. If you scan the top QR code, that's the more important one. Scan the top QR code, a link will pop up. So fill out your information on that link, and automatically you will receive an email with more information about our apprenticeships. You can watch some YouTube videos on our apprenticeships from our apprentices. And when our applications open in November, if you are in year 12 or year 11, you'll be one of the first people that get to apply for our business academy or for one of our apprenticeships. And do follow us on social media. And like I said, there is a lot of videos on YouTube as well. So I've thrown a lot of information at you in 15 minutes. Does anyone have any questions? Ask us anything. Like I said, it's really important today for you to get the most amount of information as possible. No, we've got questions. You're just too scared to put your hand up. This is a safe space, guys. Who's got questions? Maybe some of the parents in the room have got questions.
I've got a question.
Yes. Do you want the microphone?
Yeah. For apprentices that join, how many would be expected to be in the same sort of cohort when they come in? So would it be one apprentice in one area, or would it be 2 or 3 or 10? Or how would that work?
So yeah, so across the UK in 17 locations, we hire around 200 apprentices. Now, what that breaks down to is obviously you've got different service lines and then different teams within the service lines, like we saw before. The numbers fluctuate every year because it's the people in the business that decide how many apprentices they want each year. So in some cases there will be 1, in some cases there will be 5, some cases 7, it kind of depends. But like I said before, even if you're that 1 apprentice that's hired for that year in that particular team, in that service line or department, you're not going to be the only apprentice, and you're not going to be the only apprentice in the office because we hire apprentices every year. How many were in your cohort? Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, and then also within your office, I mean, we got put into then like a cohort of all the new joiners from all the service lines. So you just do like activities together and that sort of thing. So even though I was the only one in restructuring in the Leeds office, I was still introduced to all the people in the audit service lines and tax and things like that. So yeah, like it's fine. And then there is apprentices in restructuring, for example, in the Leeds office that are a year or two ahead of me.
Yeah, so you won't be alone. I know that's a big fear, but you won't be alone. Any more questions? Deathly silence. Oh.
What are your attrition rates like? How's the pass rates and fail rates? Like, who stays on basically?
Oh, asking me hard questions today. I'm not going to lie, I don't have that data. Most of our apprentices finish their course, and with the way it works with our apprentices is that I know some apprentices, you get an apprenticeship contract and then you have to leave and find a new job. The expectation is that you actually stay because we want you to work for us, and we kind of actually need people to work for us because we're growing really, really quickly at the moment. So the expectation is that you'll stay. So you'll go from an apprenticeship contract and it will just roll onto a permanent contract. But unfortunately, I don't have the data on attrition rates. Yeah, I can't answer that one. But yeah, the expectation is that you'll stay on after your apprenticeship. Any more questions? One thing I didn't mention is what we look for in terms of UCAS points. So we look for 112 UCAS points. So at A level, that's BBC. At BTEC, that's DMM. And if you're studying any other qualification, you can look up what that could mean. If you just Google UCAS tariff calculator or UCAS points calculator, you can put in your qualification and know whatever subject you're studying is equivalent to. And like I mentioned before, you can be studying any subject. It doesn't have to be maths or economics. You can study in any subject and get onto one of our programs. Okay, final call for questions.
So just check your timescales, the application dates and when you start to announce people that are successful.
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. So our applications will open again for September 2023 in November of this year. So they will open in November, and we don't usually have closing dates for our roles. What we do is we process applications on a first come, first served basis. So our advice is to always apply it sooner rather than later, because you may find that if you delay it, you may find that role you really wanted has closed because we've got enough applications, basically. Sometimes we reopen applications, but that kind of depends on how people are getting through the process. So the advice is, as soon as we open, start your application. So over the summer, it's a good idea to look at the website, see what roles we have on offer. 9 times out of 10, they kind of stay the same every year. Sometimes we have new roles pop up, but you're allowed one application every 6 months. So you're only allowed to apply for one role every 6 months. So you can't apply to lots of different roles because we've got software that will pick up a duplicate application. So our applications are looking to open in November. So that's why it's really important. If you haven't scanned the QR code, the top one, it's really important that you do, because when our applications open, you'll be the first to know because we'll email you. And then the application process, hopefully next year will be a lot shorter. So within 6 to 8 weeks, you should have an answer. Unless you've applied for something really popular, then it might take a bit longer. Okay, so I'm going to wrap things up here. Thank you very much for joining. As I said, if you haven't seen our stand, come and see us. We're right at the front, so just keep walking down, and then we're there. If you do have any questions that want to be answered today, we're going to stick around in the room for a bit. But yeah, thank you very much and have a good day.